I was in the middle of a busy shift when everything went black. One moment I was typing an email, the next I woke up surrounded by beeping monitors and nurses rushing around me. Turns out I had collapsed from a serious cardiac issue and was rushed to the ICU. Everything happened so fast, I didn't even get a chance to call anyone. When I finally regained full consciousness, I realized how bad it was. I couldn't move, I was on heavy medication, and doctors told me I'd be out of work for a while. That's when it hit me. Everything. Our home, finances, bills, was now completely in my wife's hands. She had access to all our joint accounts, our insurance, even decisions about my care. And at that moment, I didn't think twice. I trusted her. After all, we were married for 10 years. But as I lay there hooked up to machines, vulnerable and helpless, I had no idea that she saw this as an opportunity. While I was fighting to stay alive, she was quietly making moves that would change everything. I assumed she'd be by my side. Instead, she started acting strangely distant. She rarely visited, never answered my texts, and when she did show up, she looked more annoyed than concerned. I chalked it up to stress, but deep down, something didn't feel right. I was too weak to dig into it, but that moment of crisis, of complete dependency, was when everything truly began to unravel. While I was lying in the hospital, weak and hooked up to machines, my wife was busy draining our entire life. Without saying a word, she emptied our joint savings account, every last dollar we had worked years to build. I didn't even know until much later. She went through the house and quietly sold anything valuable. My watch collection, our electronics, even some of the tools in the garage. She made it all look like she was just cleaning up or downsizing, but she was preparing for something much worse. While I was fighting for my life, she was preparing to vanish. She even started forwarding mail to a P.O. box and quietly changed passwords on our shared accounts. No calls to check on me, no comfort, just cold, calculated moves. The nurses began noticing she didn't visit much. They asked where my wife was, and I didn't know what to say. I was embarrassed to admit I hadn't seen her in days. What I didn't know was she had already met with a lawyer. She was preparing to file for divorce behind my back while keeping me in the dark. All I could think about was getting better and going home. But the home I imagined returning to was already gone. I trusted her with everything, and she used my weakest moment to clean out my life. She wasn't just walking away, she was making sure I had nothing left when I stood back up. While I was stuck in a hospital bed, barely able to move, she was out there building a brand new life, just not with me. I didn't know it then, but she had already moved on. There was a younger man, someone she had been secretly seeing for months. She used the money she stole from our joint account to rent a separate apartment, fully furnished, far from anyone who knew us. She told people she was staying near the hospital to be closer to me, but in reality, she was setting up her escape plan with him. They went shopping together, had dinners, and even took a short trip while I was in the ICU. I found out later that the guy was barely out of college, flashy and jobless, but she was obsessed with him. She told him I was a burden, that she was trapped in a cold marriage. Meanwhile, I was lying in a hospital bed, thinking she was my only support. She even took my name off some of our shared documents and added his. It was like I was being erased while I was still breathing. The betrayal wasn't just emotional. It was cold, strategic, and planned down to the last detail. She didn't care if I survived or not. To her, I was already gone. And every loving word she ever said to me felt like a lie the moment I realized she had replaced me while I was still fighting to live. When I finally got a hint of what was going on, I didn't explode. I didn't confront her. I played it cool. I acted weak, confused, and completely unaware. She thought I was still too sick to notice anything, but behind that tired face, I was wide awake. Every time she came to the hospital with fake sympathy, I watched her carefully, how she avoided eye contact, how she rushed to leave. I asked soft questions, listened more than I spoke. I took mental notes of the little things she let slip. I even pretended to sleep while she whispered on the phone, laughing quietly with someone she thought I didn't know existed. I started putting the pieces together. One day I asked a nurse to help me get online, and I began checking our accounts. What I found made my blood run cold. She had moved money, made strange purchases, and signed rental documents. That's when I knew. I didn't react. I didn't say a word. I smiled when she brought soup, thanked her like nothing was wrong. But inside I was planning. I called a lawyer, spoke in whispers during physical therapy, and got help pulling bank records and surveillance footage. I made sure everything I discovered was backed by solid proof. Every lie she told became a weapon I stored for later. I wasn't going to let her see me break. I was going to let her think she won, until I was ready to hit back hard. Long before I landed in the hospital, I had a strange feeling in my gut. Something about her had changed, so I started taking quiet precautions just in case. I opened a separate bank account in my name only, where I moved a small portion of money every few weeks. Nothing big enough to notice, but enough to matter. I also set up cloud storage and started backing up all our financial documents, account details, and property papers. But the smartest move? Hidden cameras at home. Small, silent, and perfectly placed. I told her it was for security, but really it was to protect myself, and it paid off. I caught conversations she had with her lover when she thought no one was watching. I heard her making plans, lying about me, laughing about the money. I even had footage of her taking my things, packing boxes while I was still in the hospital. When I found a lawyer, I didn't just hire anyone. I went with someone who specialized in betrayal cases. He walked me through everything: how to freeze joint accounts, how to protect my credit, and how to build a timeline with hard evidence. Everything I needed, I already had in motion. She thought she was outsmarting me, but she never realized I was 3 steps ahead. While she was busy playing games behind my back, I was setting a legal trap that would slam shut the moment she tried to run. She had no clue I'd already prepared for this storm. The moment I had all the proof in place, I made my move. No warnings, no drama, just action. I met with my lawyer, handed him the bank statements, camera footage, and screenshots of her texts and calls. He looked through everything and nodded. We had more than enough. That same week, we filed for divorce, and not just any divorce, one that hit her fast, hard, and with no way to wiggle out. We froze all the joint accounts immediately. I blocked her access to every card, every account, and locked down my credit. She tried to log in one night and found herself completely shut out. Then came the best part. I had her served with the papers right at her secret apartment. She opened the door thinking it was a delivery. Instead, it was a process server with a thick envelope and a calm voice. "You've been served." She looked like she'd seen a ghost. She called me in a rage, screaming that I betrayed her. I didn't say a word. I just sent her a short text. "You chose this." I sent her a copy of the footage, the bank transfers, everything. She went silent. Her younger boyfriend? The moment the money stopped, so did he. He ghosted her, leaving her alone with a ruined plan and a legal storm coming her way. She thought I'd be too weak to fight back, but she didn't know. I was already ready to end her game before it even began. After the papers were served and the money dried up, her perfect little world started crumbling fast. The younger guy she had risked everything for vanished almost overnight. The moment he realized she didn't have access to my money anymore, he stopped replying to her calls. She went from posting cute selfies to deleting all her social media. Her phone calls to me turned from rage to begging. But it was too late. I had already sent everything, photos, documents, and screenshots, to the lawyer, and soon after, to mutual friends and family who kept asking what happened. The truth came out quickly. People who once praised her now looked at her with disgust. Her own parents called me to apologize. She tried to spin the story, saying I was controlling or heartless, but no one believed her once they saw the proof. She even tried to fight the divorce in court, hoping to get a portion of my remaining assets. But the judge wasn't buying it. The evidence was airtight. Clear financial betrayal, hidden infidelity, and abandonment. She walked out of court with nothing. Her apartment lease got canceled. Her name was on online forums, dragging her through the mud. And even her job let her go quietly. Everywhere she turned, doors closed. All that scheming, all that lying. And for what? She ended up alone, broke, and exposed. While she tried to destroy me during my weakest moment, she had only built the path to her own downfall. Because I had prepared ahead of time, things worked out better than I ever expected. When we went to court, my lawyer laid everything out, clear, organized, and impossible to deny. The judge didn't need much time. The hidden cameras, the texts, the bank transfers, it all painted a clear picture. She didn't just betray me emotionally. She tried to rob me blind while I was fighting for my life. But because I had moved a large part of our money into my separate account before everything happened, most of it was safe. And the money she did steal? The court ordered her to return it. I got the house too. Since I paid for most of it and she had abandoned me, it was a simple decision for the judge. She had no legal ground to stand on. On top of that, she was ordered to pay my attorney fees. That hit her hard. She tried to argue, saying she was broke, but the court didn't care. Actions have consequences. It felt like everything she tried to take from me ended up coming right back, with interest. I walked out of that courtroom with my finances secured, my future intact, and the satisfaction of knowing I didn't just survive, I won. Her plan backfired completely. She thought I was just a helpless victim, but I had planned for this, step by step. And now I wasn't just standing, I was thriving, while she had to start from zero. Once the truth came out, there was no hiding for her. People who once smiled at her, praised her, or followed her on social media suddenly went silent. Our mutual friends were shocked. I didn't even have to say much. Just let the facts speak for themselves. Screenshots of her messages to the other guy, the money transfers, and even clips from the hidden cameras made their way through the group chats. Word spread fast. She couldn't spin the story or play the victim anymore. Everyone knew what she did while I was lying in a hospital bed. Her own parents, who used to defend her no matter what, called me one night. They were heartbroken. Her dad told me straight up that they had no idea their daughter could do something so cruel. They were ashamed, embarrassed, and said they had cut ties with her. That hit her the hardest. Being rejected by the people she counted on most broke her more than the court ever could. Even the people at her job started whispering. Her reputation was ruined. The office atmosphere got cold. It wasn't long before she quietly left, unable to face the looks or questions. She was now the woman who betrayed her husband during a medical emergency for a quick fling and fast cash. No one wanted to be around that kind of energy. She lost her friends, her family's respect, her job, and all because she thought she'd never get caught. But everyone saw her now clearly. Walking out of that hospital, I was thinner, tired, and not the same man physically. But inside, I was stronger than I'd ever been. The experience didn't just test my body, it tested everything. My trust, my patience, and my willpower. But I didn't break, I rebuilt. With the legal mess behind me and the weight of her betrayal lifted, I finally felt free, truly free. No more second guessing, no more fake smiles across the dinner table, no more pretending things were okay. I moved back into my home, the one she tried to steal, and it felt different, peaceful. I cleaned it up, got rid of everything that reminded me of her, and made it mine again. Every small change felt like a step toward healing. My health improved day by day. I started eating better, walking more, even smiling more. I surrounded myself with real people, the ones who stood by me, who didn't believe her lies, who helped me when I was at my lowest. I didn't just survive the heart attack. I survived betrayal, greed, and lies. And now every breath I take feels earned. I'm no longer looking back or holding grudges. I'm looking forward. I've got my savings, my home, my name, and most of all, my peace. I may have walked into that hospital thinking I'd never recover, but I walked out knowing I'd never settle again. This is my new chapter. Clean, clear, and completely mine. If you enjoyed the revenge story, like, share, comment, and subscribe to World Revenge Stories, where every tale is a new saga of revenge.